Welcome, ladies and gents. I'm Dan the Man Muñoz, host of Movie Menu Interviews, where we interview filmmakers to discuss their films from idea to completion. On today's episode, we'll be interviewing filmmaker Ori Ravid. I'd like to welcome Ori to the show. Thank you so much, Ori, for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. The reason why we do this show is to discuss the process for filmmakers out there, to talk about what they worked on and what you would change for your next project, plus any advice you'd like to give to our listeners. So, Ori, tell us a little about yourself. Where did you grow up?
I grew up near the Valley in a place called Agora Hills, California. The Valley being the San Fernando Valley, just near outside of LA.
I think everyone in the world knows the Valley is the Valley.
Well, some people think that the Valley is like the San Gabriel Valley,
which is so weird.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, if you're not from here, like I haven't really thought about it before, and like you see like all these valleys, you hear about all these valleys near LA, like it makes sense. But the Valley is definitely the San Fernando Valley for sure.
And how was that experience growing up and wanting to be? Was there a filmmaker that you always wanted to be, or how did you get into that?
Yeah, so
because the Valley is basically like where the studios are.
Yeah, well, my sister, she's older than me. She's about 16 years older than me, and she was an assistant at this production company. And I grew up like with her telling me a bunch of stories about the industry and working with actors and what that was like. And I kind of like got a window into like the industry like really, really early on as a kid through that. And I also like always kind of made my own stuff with my friends, like everyone in my cul-de-sac. I grew up with a bunch of people that were around my age, and we would like make little short movies on our dad's like camcorders in our cul-de-sac. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, I kind of like always like knew that I wanted to make movies, I guess, ever since I was like really young. And I think I decided when I was like 8 or something like that I was going to do it.
Can you talk about what like stuff you would shoot?
Yeah, so my friend Daniel Gutnick and I would like do like Indiana Jones-esque sequels. I had this like really big like yoga ball, and we filmed a scene where we like push it down the driveway. That was like the boulder that I was going after. Indy. In the first movie, and probably we did like Home Alone reenactments, like a bunch of stuff that I don't even remember.
Would you guys just watch it? Would you guys like show it for the neighborhood or for your parents afterwards?
Just for our parents. We'd have like screenings. I remember like we didn't edit anything obviously outside of the camera, so like we do like a shot and then we would like do it over again. We would rewind the tape and do it over again if it wasn't good, and then like we would film the next shot.
Live editing there.
Yeah, I guess. And I want to say that some of these were like 30 minutes long.
Wow.
But I really don't. In my memory, they're 30 minutes long. They could have been shorter. I don't actually like have physical proof. These tapes are somewhere, but maybe I'm sure my parents have more insight into it than I do.
Did you go to college for film, or did you take film classes in high school?
Well, both. I took film classes in high school. I did my high school video announcements, and I won the Agora High School Film Festival one year, which was great. Thank you so much. And yeah, I applied early to NYU Film School, and I got in.
Oh, nice. So I think in NYU Film School, you don't have a focus really. They teach you like directing, producing, and everything else, right? Did you have a focus when you went there?
So there's a few different programs. I did more like the production program, and my degree is in film and television production. And the first 2 years, I kind of teach you a little bit about everything, like sound, like the basics of film grammar, like how that works, like a little bit of film criticism. There's like a documentary class you can take, and you can take different classes depending on what you want to like specialize in. So I took an acting class because I want to direct and I wanted to know how to like talk to actors and stuff.
Which is very important, and which I know some directors do not do.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that whole education that I had was worth it just for this one acting class I took over the summer in a lot of ways. Like it really kind of opened up my eyes a lot to what like acting is and like how to talk to actors. And also doing improv. I did UCB for a few weeks, and that was like really eye-opening too. I highly recommend anyone do that. Even if you're not trying to direct, whatever, it's just kind of fun.
Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let loose in improv. You'll be a happier person.
Sometimes.
So talk about the projects you worked on in college.
Yeah. So as part of the program, you basically make short films in several classes. The first class that I took that was more of like a film class wasn't until my sophomore year because they don't start you off, at least they didn't with me, like to make short films until like your second year. Like the first project you do is just kind of with still images. And we got to shoot on film, which was really awesome. We were the last class at NYU that got to shoot on film for their class.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Tarantino would be proud of you right now.
Yeah, they should bring it back. I mean, they are. I think film is kind of making a comeback a little bit, but it was a lot of fun. My biggest regret was like not to take advantage of my time there as much as I could have. I feel like I was kind of a brat and thought like I knew better than. Oh,
you mean like a typical art student? Like, or is this...
Yeah, you know. No, but for real, if I had gone to college even just like a couple years ago, I think I would have like had a completely different viewpoint and like, you know, gotten way more out of it. But I learned a whole lot. I didn't do a senior thesis because I didn't have the money for it or like really any ideas. But my junior thesis was a total piece of shit. I learned so much doing that.
Have you watched it since, or do you have access to it?
I watched it like, oh God, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. It's on a hard drive. I'm never putting it online. It's awful. It's just really bad. It's about this guy who comes to his apartment and he thinks his wife is cheating on him. And then it turns out that there's like all these like other like things that happen in the apartment and like all these like crazy characters. And she ends up leaving him. And it turns out he's part of this like, he's completely like ignorant of like his whole relationship basically, which kind of sounds like a cool premise now that I'm thinking about it, but it was just executed like dog shit.
Reboot.
Yeah.
Reboot.
Yeah, maybe. My film teacher also like ripped me a new one for it, which was like kind of traumatic, but I think actually really good in retrospect.
In the long haul, I'm sure it was worth it.
Yeah, right? For sure. Yeah, he taught me to kind of not be afraid to like make something that is real, that like actually like is true, and not just like do something because like it might be like cool
or risque.
Yeah, he taught me that like the best things that you do just, you know, come from the heart basically. And what I was doing wasn't maybe exactly from the heart, I guess.
So what did you do right after college?
So I graduated early because I wanted to get the fuck out of New York.
Not that you would want to live in?
No, I actually am thinking about moving back. I miss it. But at the time, like, I was just like not in a great state of mind. I don't know. I was like kind of depressed and dealing with like being gay, like to myself and like all that stupid shit. I was young and I moved back to LA and I lived in my parents' house for like a year. And that was like probably the darkest point because they were gone.
And then you got into filmmaking like any normal person.
Yeah.
You have that inspiration in you.
Yeah. They were gone for a lot of the time. And I was living in like this large house in Agora Hills, which is this suburb. It was like a really good Italian deli. And that's about it. So like I would go like a week at a time without like seeing anybody. It was pretty dark. But, you know, I got through it and I ended up moving to Hollywood with some friends like a year later. And my first production job was on a music video shoot. It wasn't even a music video shoot. It was a shoot for the video that would play behind Britney Spears at her Vegas show.
Oh, okay.
So I worked on that for a couple of days. And my first production job, I was a PA and I had to get lunch for Britney Spears. And that was an experience. Like the head PA was like, okay, this is what Britney wants. She wants like chicken soup, steamed chicken, veggies, and white rice. Oh, and also like you have to be back here in 30 minutes. I was like, okay, cool. So where should I get it? And then she just looked at me and she's like, what do you mean? Go find it. Oh, okay. So it turns out that there isn't one place that had all those things. So I had to go to like 2 different places, and I had to get the white rice at a Chinese restaurant, and I took the rice out of the Chinese carton so she wouldn't think it was just like random like Chinese food rice. And I put it in another container, and I was like 15 minutes late, but it was fine. Oh, I also had to get her Starbucks order, and
Brittany says love her Starbucks.
Yeah, and she wanted 2 different drinks, like 2 different like large frappuccinos, basically, and that was fun.
And so you got your PA job, your first PA job. Talk about when you first started to direct or write your first film outside of college.
I was still dumb at that point and like pretty disillusioned with like my film school experience because like I didn't like get to do what I wanted to do, and like I think I blamed the program more than just like not putting like enough effort into it or like getting out of it what I could have. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna like make a short film like I did in high school, and it was called The Notebook, and it was about kind of like this guy who is like a writer director and is passing out flyers, you know, for whatever on Hollywood Boulevard, like a burger place, and then this like other guy appears and works for the same company and is just better at passing out the flyers than he is. And but he kind of laughs it off or whatever, like he suppresses his jealousy about that. And then it turns out that this guy is also more successful than he is as a writer director, and he gets like really mad and like is about to.
So it's like this guy's stealing his life almost.
It's almost like this guy that he thinks like is kind of like a joke is really everything that he's aspiring to be at the moment, or at least like some version of that. And then he gets really mad and he like almost like does something to inflict harm on this guy, but then something happens and he realizes that they're not really that different. And
what's the title of that one?
The Notebook.
Oh yeah, The Notebook.
Because the main character, played by my friend Ian Grant, has a notebook where he like writes everything. And yeah, and like basically it took me like a year to make. I would just like shoot it whenever I could on my Panasonic GH3 that I had. That whole experience was like I can't make a movie like it did in high school because it just I don't want to say it came out bad. There's like some things about it that like I really like a lot, but it was just so not professional. Like shots were shaky. It wasn't like maybe thought out all the way through. It was a really good learning experience, and like I basically realized after that, like okay, yeah, like if I want to actually do this, I need to do this right, and like do pre-production and production and do post-production, and like actually. Basically, I realized I needed to grow from beyond high school, and if I wanted to make something that I felt really good about, and you know, if I want to do this,
nice, which is a good lesson to learn. Talk about the first project you did then afterwards that you had the pre-production, production, and post-production film with it. What did you do on that film? Did you write, direct it?
Okay, so after that, this is like maybe going to contradict slightly what I just said, but I
contradict all you want. It's fine.
I just did mushrooms and I was feeling pretty good for a few days after, and I was like inspired, and I was in the car with my parents and they were arguing about where they want to get dinner, and I just had this like realization like, oh, this would be like an amazing short film because this conversation's ridiculous. And I just like put something together in 2 hours, and I had moved in with my friend Dennis Nowak by that time, who I've worked with for many years, basically since I met him. And he's a really excellent DP. And we ended up like shooting something, and we ended up shooting that script in front of our apartment, and I was in it and my friend Ian was in it, and we shot it in maybe like 3 or 4 hours in the rain. And then I edited it in a couple days and it was done. So the whole thing, like from like inception from yeah, exactly. From when I first thought about it to like when I finished it, it was maybe like a week. And but I had a DP, like I had like a more like concrete story, there was definitely more of like a beginning, middle, and end. So like I took what I learned from the last thing that I made, and also some PA experience that I had.
What was the title of this one?
It's called Where Do You Want to Get Dinner?
And is it shot like in one space only during a conversation, like in the car or something?
Yeah, it's like shot in the car, and then in the end credits, we did some shots at the restaurant where they end up going to.
Cute.
But we just shot it like on Dennis's camera. Like we didn't like even bother with permits or anything like that. It was like super, super low key.
And did you do anything with the film? Did you shop it anywhere?
No, I didn't, and that's like a huge regret of mine. I was like, okay, this is just like a small thing. Like, I don't think like anyone will be interested.
Is it online?
It's online, yeah. It's online. You can see it on Vimeo. But I didn't try to shop it around. I didn't send it out to festivals or anything like that, which was definitely a mistake. I definitely like recommend people to send their stuff out to festivals, because mainly just like because it's fun.
And you never know. You just never know. Might as well do it.
You never know. Like,
the worst you can do is say no.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about it more later. Like, I don't think like people should just like blindly apply everywhere, but it's a really fun time. Like, and it's a great place to meet people. And also like, I think my short was like better than like I maybe thought. And it could have like, you know, gotten some more attention than it did, but not that it's like a masterpiece or anything like that, but
it could have won the short Oscar.
No. But I just didn't really think about doing it, and that was a mistake.
So after Where Do You Want to Get Dinner, what did you work on next?
Yeah, so after that, I sort of had this like idea to make a movie that was about this guy's love of chicken wings, which is also
very relatable to a lot of men.
Which is also autobiographical. It's called Wingman.
So you love chicken wings as well?
I'm a huge fan. Yeah, I like them a lot. I'm pretty much like any kind of wing I'm a fan of, even if they're gross. And I thought like, yeah, this is going to be it. This is going to be like the thing that puts me on the map or whatever. And I did a Kickstarter for it, and like I made these like wing pins, and I spent a bunch of money. And that took, you know, like several months, maybe like 6 or 7 months, like from the time I first thought of it, inception, to
dun, dun, dun.
to the screening party that I had after that. But I also didn't really like I submit to like a lot of festivals. The ones that I did submit to, like I got into one in Austin, which was like a really great experience and really fun. But that was like kind of like the first time where like I really felt like I was like really directing something. Okay, you can check it out on Vimeo. It's called Wingman, and yeah, let me know what you think about it if you want.
Yeah, for sure. What kind of projects are you drawn to, or what kind of projects do you like to write about?
I think my taste is like pretty eclectic. I'm honestly still like trying to figure out like my style and
your aesthetic.
My aesthetic, but I tend to do stuff that's like a little bit more like I don't want to say out there, but like isn't maybe like super like straightforward. A lot of this like the shorts that I've done don't have like a traditional, you know, 3-act structure. And when I go in and like make my first feature, which I'm planning, it's like probably going to be like a little bit more artsy, for lack of a better term. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out my my aesthetic, honestly. I think with this last short I made, like I've made like a great strides, but I tend to gravitate towards somewhat out of the box stories. And
not that I want to categorize it, but is it more like Lynch type of films, or?
No, it's more like, I guess everything I've done has been like comedic with surreal touches.
That's a great combination.
Thanks.
Where do you assemble your crew, and where do you get like people to help you out with?
Honestly, just friends. Like,
now, are they filmmakers as well, or are they basically like, "Oh, hey, you want help? I'll help you"?
For the most part, they're all people that like are filmmakers or like have like industry jobs. Dennis is a DP.
Shout out to Dennis.
Yeah. Hey, Dennis. You're great, but you know that already.
We all know that already.
Yeah, we all know that. Yeah, just friends. I actually like keep in touch with a lot of my high school filmmaking friends, and I get some help from them sometimes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just like I ask people like for recommendations that I know. Friends, like I don't like post like stuff online or anything like that for crew members. I just like find stuff, like find.
That's
people.
good. You have your own living network.
Yeah,
People you trust.
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome. So that's the lesson. Don't be dicks to your friends from high school. Stay in touch.
If you want to, yeah. If you think they're cool.
Well, I mean, the people on the podcast that I podcast with are friends from middle school and high school. So.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
You've done PA. You've written. You've directed. Is there another aspect of filmmaking you would like to get into?
Directing more. I was PAing for a couple years and I stopped doing that because I sort of realized that the skills that I was learning
was that the skills you wanted?
not the skills that I necessarily needed. So I stopped doing that and like I got a job cooking and that transitioned into like other restaurant jobs. I've been doing that like while working on my own stuff, you know, and like that gives me the time to like, you know, give me like all this energy that I need to focus on like the work that I want to do and just basically do what I want as far as like filmmaking goes. So,
which is awesome.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I love editing. I thought I was a good editor and then I realized that, I'm not as good as I thought after my friend, Kenny Mazinski, shout out to you as well.
Shout out.
Helped edit my last short that we'll talk about. Yeah. I really just want to direct. So I'm going to focus on that.
That's a good focus. So speaking of which, just going to talk about why you're here. Matt, where did you get the idea for this film? Before we get into that, do you want to give a brief synopsis about what Matt is about?
Yeah. So my short Matt it's a coming of age story. It's about a young guy named Matt who's like pretty freshly out of the closet, who goes to an older guy's apartment, also named Matt, for, you know, a night of fun, and it ends up meaning much more to one person than the other, essentially. I don't want to say simple, but it's pretty simple, like straightforward story, I would say, about just like an informative hookup.
So I have seen the film. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How was it working with the actors that you had? I know Kobe Jensen was one of the actors.
Yeah. Oh, it was great.
How was the casting process for this film?
It was pretty straightforward. So I reached out to Colby through Instagram. His email address is on Instagram, or it was. I don't know if it still is, but I thought he'd be like a great fit, like a dream cast actor to be in it, basically, for me. And not only because of like, you know, who he is, but I don't know. If you are familiar with his work, you may notice that he's really charming and like really like cares a lot in his foreplay scenes. And I just sent him an email and I didn't hear back from him for a week. And I followed up and he was like, oh, hey, yeah, sorry, I started reading it. I was on a plane and I fell asleep, but I'm definitely interested. And I was like, cool.
The life of an actor.
Yeah. So I arranged a phone call with him and I was like super nervous. I had no idea what to expect. And yeah, he's like incredibly down to earth, super nice guy. We talked for like a few minutes and we arranged a time and place to meet up. And I drove to Vegas a week later and I met up with him and kind of explained to him like what I'm planning to do with it. And he was really interested. And yeah, so like having him on board was like huge for me and like was like a real driving force to kind of like actually make this project happen.
Did you want to go ahead and tell everyone who Colby Jensen is?
Yeah, so Colby Jensen is an adult entertainer who is probably most well known for his gay adult scenes. He was on men.com. He had like 140,000 Instagram followers until Instagram shut down his account. If you've seen gay porn, you've seen his face. You know who he is. If you're gay, you know who he is, even if you like don't realize it. Basically, he's a very influential figure, I would say, or well-known figure.
Which is great that he's in your film.
Yeah, I'm really lucky that he agreed to it, and that I can call him a friend now.
That's beautiful. And where did you get the idea for the film and the concept of it?
It was
is it very personal?
No, it's fine. It's definitely inspired by true experiences. I had a huge crush on someone who I found out was dating an older guy. I had never really thought about that, even as like a possibility, but I wanted to see what the fuss was about. Okay, like what does like someone who is like exponentially older than me what would they have to offer, or like what would they like want out of someone like me who's like so much younger than them. So I did that, and it was fun, and realized that I felt very like awkward and vulnerable, and it wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was just like it was just like it was an experience, exactly.
Which I feel like the young Matt portrays really well in the film. You get that across his awkwardness, and the actor who plays him, you could tell what he's feeling and what he's thinking through his face. He doesn't say much. There's not much dialogue in the film, but it's portrayed very well.
Yeah, I was really, really, really lucky to find Patrick Wallace. My roommate went to USC, and he has access to like college message boards, like actors looking for work on there. And I did a post basically that I'm looking for a gay or bi actor to be in my short, and he was one of the people that sent me a resume, and immediately, like within the first 15 to 30 seconds of meeting him, I knew he was like the perfect choice, like the perfect person. And I think his performance was really good and fantastic.
Agreed.
So shout out to you, Patrick.
Shout out. Talk about also the location where it's filmed. That place is amazing. Where did you guys, whose apartment or loft was that?
Yeah. So we may or may not have shot somewhere where we weren't supposed to.
Oh.
And it was a pretty tense shoot, and we got away with it. It wouldn't have been able to happen any other way. It ran as smoothly as it did because we knew that if we fucked up, we wouldn't be able to do it again. Not only because the location was expensive, but because of where this location is.
That's about to say, because it looked super expensive to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I got a good deal on it actually, but we weren't supposed to shoot there. I'm just gonna say that it was near downtown.
Nice.
And if you see the movie, you might know immediately where this building is, but I don't want to say it out loud on this podcast.
No need to. How is it working with the two actors together? How was their chemistry? How were directing them in the film?
Yeah, so this is not a slight against them at all, but I intentionally cast two different people that wouldn't necessarily have great chemistry together, and I think that really lends itself well to the story. So I think Colby and Patrick are both really great in their own roles, and they were great to work with, and had really good chemistry when we weren't filming. But having a lack of chemistry,
even that's a thing. It's not, to make it look effortless is not the easiest either, I guess.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that if you think so. But I think they did a really good job. Also taught me a lot about performances, and also how to direct certain things as well.
And how long did you film for?
We shot for 2 days, 2 overnight shoots, 2 12-hour overnight shoots. So that was intense, but
and what did the crew look like?
It wasn't a big crew. With the two actors, there were maybe 10 other people. So we didn't have a production designer. We couldn't afford that. So we incorporated lighting design into production design. Dennis was
makes sense because the lighting is pretty cool.
Lighting is crucial,
especially when it goes in the bathroom.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I wish I made a bigger moment out of that. But that was one way I thought of to make this bathroom look more interesting, is to just kind of change the lighting and make it pink instead of white, and kind of more dreamlike or interesting, I guess. So we had Dennis, the DP, and then Lincoln, the gaffer, and who's also great. And we had a couple other camera people, and then we had a hair and makeup person, and an AD, assistant director, Lindsay Walker, who was great.
Did you have a costume designer?
No, I didn't. Actually, maybe an hour before we started shooting on the first day, I asked Colby to bring some stuff with him, and I asked Patrick to bring some options with him too, but I realized that like what Colby brought like wasn't exactly a good fit.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, and I could have been way more specific with that, and I just wasn't. And he was like, well, and we went to Starbucks before the shoot just to kind of like, I would like debrief him a little bit on like what I was planning on, and I wanted him to see the apartment before we shot. And he was like, why don't we just like go to Goodwill and like I'll get a shirt. And I was like, okay. So we walked to like a Goodwill, which was really close by, and he got something that worked, and we came back. So that was kind of lucky that happened. We would have figured it out otherwise, but.
Right. But it's good that he came with ideas.
Yeah. He had a lot of like really good insight and ideas. And, you know, well, yeah, we can talk more about that later.
The shoot was only 2 days. You finished. How long was it to edit this film?
Editing was, it took maybe like 6 months. It should have taken, it didn't need to take that long. I thought I would just like edit it all by myself and like it'd be pretty easy and straightforward, but it wasn't. Staring at like, I don't know. I don't recommend, like there's a reason why directors don't edit their own stuff. Historically speaking, it's just like, I was like so like wrapped up in my mind about like certain things about like every single shot that is like really, really hard for me
to cut stuff
and like see the bigger picture. And I still like went like, I never like really was able to see the bigger picture. So I asked my friend Kenny Mazinski to help edit, and he's like insanely good. And
he's like chop, 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 chop.
Yeah, I had like a working cut of it before like I even asked him, and I should have like asked him like way before.
The director's cut.
Yeah, the worst director's cut in the final cut. But he like made the movie like a million times better, and like yeah, can't thank him enough for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kenny.
And then finally, when it's finished. Which I guess, how long was the whole process for that? For coming up with the idea all the way to when you finished and about to screen this for film festivals? How long was that? The whole time did it take?
Yeah. So like I came up with the idea and like I wrote a draft of it, and then like I let it sit and didn't think like I would like do anything with it. And like a year passed by, then I revisited it and I was like, okay, I'm going to do something with this. And then from that decision to it being done, it was like 11 months. So basically a year. And like, honestly, like I'm still kind of dealing with it now, like in post-production and like getting it out there, and not post-production's done, but like, you know, getting
like after the project is over, you still want to do stuff with it. Well, you were able to submit it to film festivals, most recently Outfest this summer.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
It was incredible. It was such an incredible experience.
So for those who might not know, even though we've had guests on who submitted stuff to Outfest, what is Outfest?
Outfest is the largest LGBTQ film festival in the world. And it's also the longest running film festival in Los Angeles. And they have like different short blocks, like different feature blocks, like with like about like all these like different subjects like related to the LGBTQ community. It's not just like a mechanism to bring LGBTQ filmmakers together, but also like to bring like, you know, stories to audiences that otherwise like would not like necessarily like see those kinds of stories, you know, in the mainstream.
It's also sponsored by HBO, right?
Yeah, HBO is like a main sponsor. Hyundai, Effin Vodka was a sponsor. Had a lot of free vodka sodas, which was nice.
So if you're LGBTQ, Outfest might be a great outlet for you to look into.
Yeah. And it's a really big festival. I learned a lot of like industry stuff. I meant like future of like the film industry and like TV industry. And I did a lot of like networking, quote unquote. And
as one should at a film festival.
Yeah. And everyone was like really awesome. And every filmmaker I met was super down to earth and just excited to be there, like be a part of it. And all the programmers are really great. I keep in touch with some of them still, and yeah, I highly recommend applying to this festival if you're an LGBTQ filmmaker or attending, even if like you're not affiliated with like any of those groups. Because and also
it's a great space.
It's a great space. It's the shorts all screened at the Chinese theater, and they're also all really good. Like I was blown away by the quality of all these shorts that I saw. I think short films are just like getting better and better every year, and it was great to see it's like some on the big screen.
Was it somewhat inspiring to be there?
Yeah, it was really inspiring. Like when I saw Matt play it on the big screen, it felt like that I was like doing this for the first time. That I was like I felt like I'm actually like I can call myself a filmmaker, like seeing it on the big screen.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thanks.
And Ori, do you want to talk about any other film festivals that you were a part of?
Yeah, so I was at the Independent Filmmakers Showcase, which is a festival in LA. They rent out the Regal at LA Live, and I actually won Best LGBT Short Film at that festival. And that was the first time.
Congrats!
Thanks. Yeah, and that was really the first time that I saw it. I was by myself, and like I sat in the back of a theater, and that was the first time like seeing it.
On the big screen?
On the big screen in front of people.
That you didn't know?
That I didn't know. And that was like...
How was that?
It was cool. First of all, like, it looked amazing. Like, the DCP that I have of it, seeing it with, like, the color and, like, the sound.
Yeah, the color is great on the film, by the way.
Thanks. Another shout out to Dennis, again.
Again.
Who colored it also. But it was, like, a really interesting experience to see... and hear like people react to it that I didn't know, and like see like what worked and like what maybe like didn't work or play out as like I thought. And that was like really cool. Like people like clap for it and stuff, and even they clap for like everything that played, but it was like cool to see like hear random people clap for it, you know, still anyway. It was great. Yeah, it was cool to hear and see people's reactions to it, and like see kind of like stuff that I thought worked like play out like on a larger scale from people's reactions, and like see stuff that I thought would work or like that people would react to that people didn't. And you know, that was like an interesting experience. And
they could have applauded or not, but they applauded for everything you said. But you know what? You won. So
I won.
So
yeah, they
it's a win.
I you know went up and got my award, and people clapped and stuff, and it was cool. It felt good. Yeah, it felt good.
Validation. Yay.
Validation is important. Yeah.
Now, also, what I want to ask is did you feel like you want to grow the story of Matt into something bigger, or keep it as it is now?
I'm open to it. Yeah. I intended it to be just kind of like
a one shot.
It's like its own piece, and like I didn't really have like any like desire or aspirations to make it like a bigger story, but I've gotten like a lot of feedback from people that, you know, really like, you know, felt the connection to the characters and like want to see like what happens to them after, like who they were before, you know, the story takes place. So it's something I'm thinking about right now for sure. And I kind of started a little, you know, treatment for like where that could lead.
I would say I'm one of those people that want to know what happens afterwards.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'll keep you posted. Too would like to know what happens.
And someday you might.
Yeah, and someday you will, you know.
Talk about also getting the movie funded or any type of sponsorship or anything.
Yeah, so I went through Kickstarter, and I was able to raise my goal, meet my goal.
Also, another congratulations.
Thanks.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah, doing it again, like I definitely would have done it differently, like this time, and like we just met our goal, like we just made 15 grand, like at the last minute. And
that is awesome, though.
Thanks. Yeah, I had some help, and I was lucky enough to like get some sponsors, you know, who like were interested and like wanted to support me.
Do you want to talk about the sponsors?
Yeah, totally. So, Pump Underwear was a sponsor, Gun Oil, Lube Company. Take Two, which is like a fiber supplement you can take to expel certain solid substances out of your body that you might need to do before you engage in activities with other men who have similar interests as you. Yes, exactly. So they helped me out, which is awesome. And Double Scorpio VHS cleaner, which is like a really good brand of scented VHS cleaner that I highly recommend. they're friends of mine and they're generous enough to help me out as well. All those kind of products make appearances in the movie, as well as a painting from Tom of Finland. I really wanted to incorporate his artwork into the short, and I reached out to them to see if they'd be open to that. And not only they were open to that, but they were excited by it, and they gave me like a really good deal on one painting that I could use like for however I wanted, and it was really awesome.
Now, if you watch the film, take a shot when you see the painting.
Yeah, it's the painting ends up being like kind of a character in itself, which is inspired by Barton Fink. So definitely, yeah, I'm really glad that it worked out. That's
awesome. Congrats.
And I just got back from Seattle from the Seattle Queer Film Festival, which is an amazing experience. I met a lot of people there at Outfest, and yeah, and
you're just continuing the party and the promotions.
Yeah, that's a really great festival to check out if you're in Seattle, or to apply to if you're considering doing so.
Now, where do you apply to your film festivals? Do you use Film Freeway or?
But yeah, you do it through Film Freeway basically, or you look up whatever festival you want to apply to, and then like they'll tell you on the website how to best apply to it.
And I know you said you applied to like TIFF and Sundance, but did you also focus on like LGBTQ film festivals when you applied as well?
Yeah, predominantly like I applied to a lot of LGBTQ festivals. Yeah, I'm lucky to have gotten into Outfest and to Seattle, and I could have applied to more that I just didn't because they're expensive. But I basically applied to cities that like I thought would be cool to visit.
Cool vacation.
And there's like some cities I just like fucking like didn't even think of applying to that had festivals. Every city basically has its own LGBTQ festival. Like I didn't apply to one in Chicago. I
was about to say, did you play to Chicago?
No, I should have. I was really dumb not to. And
is it too late? Can you apply like next year? Or is it too late by then?
It'd be too late. I mean, it's going to be online in November. It's going to be online on November 6th. So I think it's too late. Like I missed the boat on that one. And I didn't apply to like certain festivals in New York, which I should have. And
it's still a learning lesson though.
Yeah, it's a learning lesson. I am glad that I got into the festivals that I did.
So earlier you had mentioned that you would recommend them applying to film festivals, but not applying just to any film festival.
I mean, film festivals like pick their shorts based on like the best ones that they get, and but also like certain festivals are looking for different ones and styles every year, and like the stuff that they're looking for changes like every year. And I would recommend like doing some research and like seeing what other kinds of films have been accepted to certain festivals that you're thinking about, like Sundance. Like all their if like you probably like need to know someone like to get into Sundance realistically.
Well, the thing is about Sundance, and we've had other guests who have applied or have gone or whatever.
Yeah,
they said Sundance is not Sundance so much anymore. Their films they're not really showcasing independent films as much as they're showing films that are like maybe 10 million, 50 million more.
Yeah, I mean I think that's true of like all the big festivals now, like Toronto, like
Clerks would never be at Sundance now.
No, it wouldn't. Sundance now is not what it was like when it got big, basically. But the shorts program, like from what I understand and like kind of have gathered, like they're looking for like stuff that's like really weird and like out there and like bizarre. So like,
it might be up your alley.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm thinking about it. We'll see. But I think you really, and regardless, like whatever you make these days, you have to just like, especially with a short film, you have to like make something that's going to like catch people's attention, like within the first like 3 seconds or 5 seconds. Like otherwise, like, people are going to be like
on their phones or
yeah, which is stupid,
not so much in the theater, but yeah. Or like zone out or something.
Yeah, totally. And I'm going to do like a lot more research next time I apply to festivals for my next project. It's about doing research, and don't just like give your money to like these festivals because like they're not going to accept you because like that's just how it works. If you haven't applied anywhere yet or haven't been anywhere yet.
Or somebody had mentioned that we had interviewed before said that sometimes they'll have film festivals not really for the films, but like for the money. So also do you research behind the people who are organizing it probably?
Oh yeah, like a lot of film festivals are just like, I don't want to say scams, but like a lot of them are like really poorly organized.
Right.
Yeah, it's important to do research. But yeah, AdFest is the biggest film festival I've been to. They have all these like different programs, and I was in the Fellas That Are in the Mood program because like, you know, my shorts like has like some sexy subject matter, and it was like a really great experience. I think like maybe they, you know, chose it in part because like it would be a good fit for that program, which, you know, is something to keep in mind when you're applying.
Was this film the first time you had film festival experience, or was there another film that you worked on that you submitted to film festival?
Wingman got into a festival in Austin, the Austin Micro Short Film Festival, which was really fun. It was at an Alamo Draft House over there.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really, really fun.
What's next for you after Matt?
So next I'm writing a feature right now that's loosely inspired by the life of my friends Kelly and Tara, and they actually have a podcast too. It's called We Only Made This Podcast to Get Famous, and it's just them talking about like.
See, we tried to do that; it was taken already.
Yeah, and it's about their quest to become famous, and it's really funny.
It sounds like ridiculous, hilarious.
Yeah,
in the most fun way possible.
They talk about celebrities, and they invite people on there that are like a few degrees removed from being fame adjacent.
Like D-lists?
Not even. Like people that are not on any list.
Oh, okay. Shout out to them.
Yeah, I was on it. It was fun.
Hey, after this, you're gonna be famous.
After this, I'm gonna start like being on people's lists for sure.
Any advice that you want to give out to our listeners that you haven't already so far?
Just like try to tell something that really comes from the heart. If you do something, it's not going to be good unless like you really care about it and like really want a story to get out there that isn't out there yet. So just like try to focus on that. It's really fucking hard to do, to just like be honest with yourself. It's like something that I'm struggling with still, but you need to do that if like you want to make something that you feel really good about. So that's like, I guess, number one. And then like number two, like don't spend like a shitload of money that you don't have. If you have the money, great, spend it. If you don't have it, don't spend it. A short film doesn't need to be more than $15,000-$20,000 at most. And honestly, like take YouTube seriously, like take social media seriously. That's where things are headed. Like that's where things are already. Just because like you like make something and like shoot it on an iPhone or whatever, and like there's no lighting. And Dennis is gonna cringe at me saying this, but like that doesn't mean that you can't make something like really awesome and meaningful, even if like the money behind it like isn't there. Like even if you like don't have a lot of money, and like that's how a lot of people get attention these days, is just through like YouTube, web series, like obviously,
or even like Instagram videos of them doing sketches.
Yeah, Instagram, like fucking TikTok. Maybe.
Yeah, TikTok.
So I guess like don't be afraid to like try to embrace like YouTube and like all these other like ways to get your stuff out there. Podcasts.
Especially podcasts. Just saying.
Podcasts are great. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. Like the film industry is changing like every day right before our eyes. What was true for like directors 10 years ago is so not true anymore.
It's definitely not anymore.
Yeah, like the idea that like you can like be successful as a filmmaker after like having a film at Sundance, that is just like not really true anymore in the same way that it was like in the 90s, you know, or late 80s. So, but that's, you know, that sucks on the one hand, but it's also like an opportunity and like to really try to embrace like all the stuff, like the cool stuff that's happening now. And like try to like
to adapt.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm trying to do. We'll see. I still want to make movies that are in theaters, but yeah, hopefully doing that will lead to that.
Speaking of which, what are some of your favorite films? I know that's a loaded question.
Yeah, that's fine. the movie that really got me into wanting to make movies was Kill Bill.
Nice, Tarantino.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for him. I watched it when I was like 12. Completely blew my mind. I stopped it halfway through because like I had like a fever and it was just like too violent. But then I started it up again like the next day, and then like I realized that it was like everything like I wanted, but I didn't know that I wanted it. I was like mind blown by like how someone can make a film, and like not just a film but like an action film like that. And like,
and the storytelling is so non-linear that it was a very interesting way to tell the story, right?
Yeah, it was this way of storytelling that I had never seen before, that it just like ends like in the middle was like insane to me. And also like I'm like a sucker for sword fights, and just like the way like the direction of like how he like stages his fights is just like incredible. And yeah, and then like, you know, Mulholland Drive, huge influence. Election was like a huge influence on me. Those are like maybe like top 3 movies, my top 3 favorite movies. Yeah, I love Lolita by Stanley Kubrick, and Once Upon a Time in the West. Oh, yeah, Under the Silver Lake, like fucking masterpiece. It's on Amazon. If you just buy,
I love the director. I mean, I love It Follows. So
yeah, It Follows is good, and then I feel like this movie is like on a whole other level, though.
Well, yeah, totally different concept, but
yeah, if you buy into it and just kind of let yourself like be invested in the mystery, I think it's really rewarding.
Andrew Garfield's in there, right?
Yeah, Andrew Garfield's in it. It's on Amazon, and it's kind of, it should live there. It's like designed to be streamed. Yeah, I definitely recommend that. I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm a big Tarantino fan,
and it's about Hollywood.
It's about Hollywood. It's about movies. I think it's like I think it's a kind of like a return to like his kind of like thinking about movies and like style to like Inglourious Basterds, which is also incredible.
As a filmmaker, like, do you care about the Oscars, or is that just like a? Because I've heard both ways, where some people are like they love the Oscars, it's their favorite time of year, and this filmmakers like, oh, we don't care really. How do you feel?
I haven't watched them in their entirety since like I was 20, but like I do care about them. I do care about them a lot, regardless of like whatever like Best Picture nominee like won or shouldn't have won, or like whatever actor shouldn't have won. It's like not really about that for me. It's just like, you know,
the whole prestige about it.
Yeah, it's the Oscars. You know, it's fun. I mean, yeah, like it doesn't maybe like mean anything or whatever, but it also does. I think like anyone would want to like be there and like win an award. So yeah, I do care about it. It matters. It matters.
Something else that matters, if you want to go ahead and promote your social media or websites or anything where people can follow you and follow your career, feel free to do that now.
Yeah, so find me on Instagram. It's OT Ravid. That is OTR as in rabbit, A V as in Victor, I D as in David. And you can find me on Twitter at Fagala Bagala. I'm not going to spell that out for you. You can also just search my name and it should pop up out there. Find me on Vimeo, Ori Ravid on Vimeo.
So go follow, like, share, comment, subscribe.
Oh, and Matt is online on Amazon, so make sure to check that out. I'm also going to have a link to it on my Instagram and Twitter, so you should just follow me, and that'll be a really easy way for you to see it.
Follow him.
Subscribe to my Patreon also.
Give him monies.
Yeah. OT Ravid is also my Patreon.
Take a look, and you can watch and then listen to this interview again. You get a different perspective after watching the film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ori, thank you so much for being on this show. I hope you had a blast, because we did. Thank you again for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was great. Really great experience.
So if you would want to be on Movie Menu interviews, feel free to visit us at moviemenupodcast.com. Email us at moviemenupodcast@gmail.com. And follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, as well as subscribe to our iTunes, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher. Wherever you listen to your podcasts, we are there. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Until next time, thank you, everyone. And we'll be back with our new episode of Movie Menu Interviews. Goodbye.